Hey, with Lisa DiPasquale. And Lisa, we always like to touch upon Alzheimer's awareness. And one thing that really got me thinking is recently we lost Nancy Reagan and the First Lady. And Ron Reagan, her husband's declining years, he had Alzheimer's. For people that don't really know, because you work with a lot of Alzheimer's patients as a speech pathologist, what was it like dealing with someone who gets progressively worse?
It's tough to be the person to talk to the family, because I'm usually that person. Because a lot of people are not aware of what's going on, because maybe they're not educated, or maybe they think that the medicine is going to make them better, or the family member better. So it's not an easy task, but you always want to talk to them when things start happening that seem off. For example, my mom is always repeating the same thing 100 times and she has no idea that she just said that. Or they can't relearn, or they can't remember learning something, or they left the stove on, or they left the clothes in the dryer for 4 days. So these small things you have to catch early so that you can educate.
You know, one of the most, and we have a great musician here today, one of the most fascinating programs I watched recently was a documentary on Glenn Campbell. And in the documentary it showed family members would say things to him and he couldn't process it 10 minutes later. It's like they never said anything. Yet, when it was time to sing a song, he nailed it. I mean, every verse, like it was perfect. How do you explain something like that where little things that they were told, that was told to him like 10, 20 minutes, he couldn't process, he would forget, and yet every verse of a song he nailed perfectly. How do you explain that?
Okay, 2 different types of memory. You've got short-term memory, which also can be broken down into even smaller groups, and you've got long-term memory. Your long-term memory you will always have. The first car you ever drove, you will always remember the color, and if you had bench seats or bucket seats, you will always remember that. Glenn will remember every word of every song because the file is in long-term memory. But if the mother or the cousin or the brother told him that, oh, it's in the second drawer on the left 10 minutes ago, that's short-term memory. It's not going to stick.
Here's I think a concern of a lot of people, and I think you can explain a lot better. When a person gets up in their 80s and 90s and they start to forget things and it becomes more and more frequent, how much do you attribute to old age and how much do you attribute to, you know what, this could be the early stages of Alzheimer's?
When we do get forgetful, starting around 80, but they eventually will remember, whether it be 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later, go in the other room, come back, and then you remember. If they never recall, and it happens over and over again, that's when you know you've got early dementia.
Talk about, Lisa, finally, you work with a lot of Alzheimer's patients. Talk about all the progress that has been made, and even the last 10 years, about what people like yourself can make a difference, medications on the market. Talk about the care that Alzheimer's patients can get now that maybe wasn't as good, because maybe it wasn't as prevalent 15, 20 years ago.
I also think what wasn't as prevalent is good health in terms of eating healthy, staying away from aluminum pans, all the environmental things that a family can do at early diagnosis. Also, educating proactively. Medications too have come a long way. It's not just one, there are several. And now what they're finding is once you take them early on, when you catch it early, it keeps them at that maintained level before transgressing down. So we've come a long way.
Lisa, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing.
Pleasure.
Lisa always does a great job. Lisa DiPasquale.
Thank you.
All right.